4 worst diets for women over 50 years of age, how to stop procrastination, and how to eat carbohydrates without gaining weight. I'm about to walk you through exactly how we do this and how we've used these mechanisms to help literally 83,000 women lose weight sustainably. My name's Alex, a sport dietitian, and welcome to the Sustainable Weight Loss Support Group. This group is completely complimentary. Join it at your own will. And I'm going to walk you through exactly how we use the group to help people. So this morning, hence the same jumper, I hopped on to do 4 of the worst diets for women over 50. And I'm going to run them through with you right now. So have a pen and paper with you, write these things down. I want you to know what to avoid and why to avoid it. I'm also going to go over procrastination, how to break that pattern of behavior, and how to eat carbohydrates without gaining weight. So, very first worst diet, and obviously it's a full video training on this here, as you can see from the comments. Fasting is the first one. Fasting is the one I want you to stop doing right now, and here's why. When we do intermittent fasting, we are eating in less waking hours. So if you don't know what that means, it means if you're awake for 16 hours a day, 8 hours of that you'll be fasting, 8 hours you will be eating. Most people tend to start eating at midday or 1 o'clock and finish at 8 p.m. or 9 o'clock. The reasons why you shouldn't do that is because fasting leads to low energy, leads to headaches. It also leads to muscle loss. And of course, if we have muscle loss, that has a negative impact on your metabolism, which means it's almost impossible to sustain the weight loss. You're also giving the wrong messages as well to your family who are watching, or grandkids that are watching. So I strongly recommend you do not fast. Do not fast, number 1. Okay. Number 2 is keto. A lot of you watching this perhaps have done keto before in the past, and again, in this video, in this group here, I went into it in detail. I want you to understand where it came from. In the 80s, and I'm talking to all the scientists out there now, a study was done on 5 people. Out of those 5 people, one person showed increased fat oxidation, aka posh way of saying breaking down fat. That one person only had increased fat oxidation for literally 24 hours, which meant after 24 hours, there was no difference in breaking down fat between any of the participants. But the key thing here, is a study based on 5 people, which is an incredibly, horrifically small sample size. So those of you, of course, who are scientists recognize there's no credence behind that. It's too small of a sample size. I'm a dietitian by trade, by the way. I have 4 degrees to a master's level. I've been doing this for 22 years, so you can trust everything I say. It's going to be evidence-based and backed. What else happens with keto that a lot of people don't know is it leads to bad breath. It leads to headaches as well. It also leads to a high intake of saturated fat. People remove a food group like carbohydrate, which is exactly what it does, by the way. When you remove a food group like carbs, you're more likely to eat other food groups. That means increased fat intake. People tend to increase their protein intake, with some people also correlates with increased fat intake. I've actually spoken to people on keto who are like buttering their bacon, thinking that you have to eat fat to burn it, which is nonsense. And those of you who perhaps work in healthcare, you know what happens if you keep having a high intake of saturated fat. It leads to plaque, high cholesterol, plaque in the arteries, high risk of stroke, and of course heart disease as well. So do not do keto, okay? Do not do keto. What else? Keto also leads to breaking down protein, aka muscle mass as well. And when that happens, of course, like I said about fasting, it negatively impacts your metabolism. I don't want that for you, because it's not about what we achieve temporarily. It has to be about what we sustain. This has to be about long-term sustainable weight loss. And this is really important. And again, all of this is in this group. There's a link, so there is in the description, where you can join this group. It's completely complimentary, delivered by psychologists, dietitians, personal trainers, behavior change coaches, mindset specialists, sleep specialists, and this is how you can lose weight sustainably. Not temporarily, sustainably. Next fad diet I want you to avoid is paleo. So this is a funny one. With paleo, people say it's what cavemen ate. Cavemen never ate processed foods. Cavemen never ate that. As if we should be living up to being a caveman or cavewoman. A few things you have to know about this that are really important, and that is cavemen and cavewomen didn't live past 40. So I don't want us doing just what they did. Otherwise, you're going to have a very, very short life. So bear that in mind, first of all. Second, yes, processed foods can be high in salt, high in trans fats, and of course bad for your health. But not all processed foods. So removing them all unnecessarily is not necessary. Like removing whole grain bread, giving you B vitamins, which helps you metabolize energy from food, isn't a good move. Removing low calorie or high protein yogurt or Greek yogurt because it's processed also is not a good move if you like those foods. So do not unnecessarily restrict yourself. You're at a higher risk of a deficiency. It's not sustainable. So don't be a caveman or a cavewoman. Hope this is helpful. Right, now I'm also going to talk about one more diet before I move on here to how to eat carbs without gaining weight. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm also going to go over procrastination and how to stop doing it. Right, so there's loads in this group. I go live every morning, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7:25 a.m. UK time. And of course, you can join me live. You can comment underneath. You can be part of that. And the way you do it is clicking the link in the description to join the group, or you can hit the subscribe button as well, by the way, here on YouTube. That's a big help to us to support what we do. And of course, that means more to me than you will ever know if you could subscribe. So the next diet to avoid, I'm actually going to put a lot in the one bucket here. I'm going to put in pills, potions, and injections all in the one bucket. So orlistat is a fat loss drug that leads to a reduced absorption of dietary fat. That leads to you, one way or another, having diarrhea. If you have a high intake of dietary fat, it comes out the other end. That leads to, obviously, significantly unpleasant symptoms. And it leads to you having like flatulence as well, and that can be really embarrassing. But it also doesn't address the root cause of the problem. Because if someone has been struggling with their weight for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, there's other reasons why they're struggling. It could be, and write these down if these relate to you, joint problems. It could be medical history, PCOS, underactive thyroid, a history of dieting, damaging your metabolism, like the diets we mentioned earlier. It could also be boredom eating, stress eating, comfort eating. Does any of this relate? It could be perhaps a lack of awareness on portion sizes. It could be poor sleep. It could be low confidence. It could be fear of failure. It could be binging. There's so many reasons as to why we struggle with our weight. But by just saying, if I reduce my absorption of dietary fat, that'll fix it, like, that's not true. A lot of people boredom eat and stress eat with foods that are not high in fat. You know, it could be carbohydrate foods, which means you're still going to have excess calories coming in. And what's that going to lead to? Weight gain, of course. Orlistat is expensive. It's not sustainable either. You can't be taking medication. You don't want to be taking medication for the rest of your life. You know that. Of course not. Injections. These are, everyone's singing and dancing about injections right now. It leads to a high risk of you getting an infection. It's not sustainable. You can't be injecting yourself for the rest of your life. Everything we do here, it has to be sustainable. And I want you to know that. It has to be sustainable. On top of that, it's fixing the wrong problem again. It works on reducing hunger, whereas 95% of people, as I mentioned, do not struggle with their weight because of hunger or because of fat intake. There's so many other reasons, like I've already mentioned. It's fixing the wrong problem, and there is no research at all supporting injections for sustainable long-term weight loss. And with there being supply chain issues as well, it means what's going to happen is you'll have temporary weight loss and then you'll regain it. You mightn't even have temporary weight loss because if it's fixing the wrong problem, you mightn't get any results. And it only works in 50% of people anyway. So stay away from injections. Here's an example of Louise. So Deborah shared Louise's story. Deborah has gone from a size 24, by the way, to a size 10. Incredible. And here's Louise sharing her story, 1 year anniversary in TSD, which is, by the way, our abbreviation for the sport dietitian. And she's lost 130 centimeters. And she's now gone to a size 8 jeans. So when I say, guys, these things work, I mean it. You know, and you can't really argue with that. More options here, or more people who've achieved it as well. Here's Dawn, massive impact around her waist. So this is not about getting to a bikini body. This is about you living longer. This is healthcare. This is literally healthcare, mobility. Most people who we do help have at least 2 stone to lose or 30 pounds to lose. And there's more success here of people who you can see who've obviously achieved. Here's Hayley. Hayley's lost 9 stone. Don't ask me what that is in pounds. It's a lot. Here she is. All this is doable. No surgery, no pills, no potions, no gimmicks. That's my lovely wife, Babs, and our little girl, Sky. She's 2 now. Anyway, back to what I was talking about. So guys, what's important to recognize here is all of this is doable, but what I don't want to have happen is I don't want you to beat yourself up and go back to these habits that you know, or these extreme mechanisms that you know deep down are not going to work. So next I want to talk about with you is going to be carbohydrates, how to eat carbohydrate without gaining weight. So obviously there's a detailed training on this here in the group, but I'm going to give you a couple of snippets of some changes that you can make first of all. One of the key ways of eating carbohydrates without gaining weight is to ensure that you don't just focus on carbohydrates. Because I've been doing this for 22 years and because we've helped 83,000, 85,000 women now, as I can see here in the group, I have spoken to a lot of people, and I'm very aware of dietary habits of ladies over 50, and it's very, very common for people to have low protein intake and high carbohydrate intake. And if you've ever had like pesto pasta, you know, as a portion size or as a meal or as a lunch, then that's a very common meal to have, like pasta dishes in ladies in particular. And yes, carbohydrates are important, but if we just have a heavily carb-based meal and we don't have protein, it leads to us typically increasing our intake of carbs to compensate, to keep us full and satiated. So the first thing about how to eat carbs without gaining body fat is to recognize you need to have enough protein to keep you filled and satiated enough so you're actually going to be able to eat a smaller portion of carbs without feeling hungry. Because let's face it guys, if you feel hungry, you're not going to do it. It has to be sustainable. All of this has to be sustainable, you know that. It's not about what we achieve temporarily, it's about what we can sustain. Okay, that's one way. Second reason is I want you to use this as an opportunity to write down the carbs that you like and you enjoy, that you think are going to serve you to achieving your goals. What's going to serve you? And I'm not saying never have sweets, never have candy, or never have a donut, or never ever have white bread. But what I am saying is if we can have a list of foods that are more healthful and nutritious, that have carbohydrates in them, it will move you towards your goals and not away from them. Okay? So, pick your favorite fruits. What are your favorite fruits? I don't like all fruit. I don't eat kiwis. I'm allergic to bananas. I don't like blueberries, not sweet enough for me. So what do I love though? I love strawberries, raspberries, and I love apples. But I don't actually have them on their own because I don't like fruit on its own. Apples occasionally. And the reason I'm sharing this is because I want you to know that I'm human as well. You know, like I'm not a health freak. I think balance is everything. So I mix diced apple or berries or strawberries with low-calorie yogurt, a protein powder to sweeten it as well. And that's my breakfast every day. One of those fruits mixed with yogurt. Apple will keep you satiated further because of the fiber intake in the apple. If you cut it this way, slice it down the way, then across the way, and then pare it into small little chunks. Mix that 3 tablespoons of low-fat yogurt or low-calorie yogurt, and then a scoop of protein powder. Boom, love it, really enjoy it. So pick foods that you like. So choose carbohydrates that you like that are moving you towards your goals. And that's important because if you enjoy it, you'll eat it. If you don't enjoy it, you're not going to do it. You know that, of course. How else can we have carbohydrates without gaining weight? We want to recognize that certain carbs will keep you fuller for longer. Whole grain basmati rice, whole wheat pastas. Swap out your white pastas and white rice for those straight away. Also, think about the takeouts that you spend money on. Like a lot of people, with me included, I know I can make food that tastes a hell of a lot better than some of the takeaways that we get. And let's work this out. So if you spend, say, 20 quid a week on takeout, 20 quid or $40, 20 quid a week on takeout, it's over £1,000 you're spending on food that perhaps you could make yourself, which would be so much more enjoyable. And in this group, by the way, we share recipes all the time to allow you to do foods and meals that you enjoy, that tick the box, scratch the itch, but are serving you in terms of your goals, and also have minimal ingredients, so they're easy to cook. You're not going to 9 shops for the ingredients. And if you're in the States, $40 by 52, that means you're spending over $2,000 a year on takeout. Reallocating that spending towards improving your health obviously makes sense, because if we don't make time for our health, we're gonna have to make time for illness. There's no two ways about that, okay? It's very important that you know that. Okay, next, procrastination. So I'm gonna actually show my face fully here for procrastination. So that's the group, of course, and I'm gonna give you a few more strategies now in a second on how best to use that group. Why do we put things off? We put things off because we're scared we'll fail. We put things off because we downplay the problem. We put things off because we don't put ourselves first. And I know a lot of you can relate to this. We are afraid we'll fail because we've tried countless diets in the past. We downplay the problem to not face it, put our head in the sand, which I know it's not your intention, but it does have a long-term cost in your health, you know that. And it reduces your self-worth as well. It makes you less likely to want to try again every time you talk yourself out of doing something that you know is going to help you. What else? We don't come first. I think women are hardwired to put everybody else first, to serve other people and to feel useful. And we're always taught to treat thy neighbour as you want to be treated, but no one talks about how we should be treating ourselves. No one talks about that. So if you're serious about procrastination, first of all, I want you to recognize what it is. And I want you to villainize it. It's overthinking, over-reflecting. And then we catastrophize. That increases fear, of course it does. And we put things off as a result. We procrastinate, we talk ourselves out of doing things. So ask yourself this question. If overthinking or over-reflecting or not taking action has been a pattern of behavior that has most certainly contributed as to why you've had these struggles for so many years, is that a pattern that you want to continue? Or is it a pattern you want to get rid of? I'm hoping you're nodding and saying a pattern you want to get rid of. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, as Mel Robbins says. Let's take action on that now. Click on the link in the description. Join our completely complimentary support group. Be part of the community. Be part of the family, like Deborah, like Louise, like Hayley. And there's lots of people there, by the way. Perhaps they've had less weight to lose as well, like 1, 2 dress sizes. And if you're that person and you've 1 to 2 dress sizes to lose, not as much as them, your happiness is not less important than theirs. So remember that, because it has to be now. I have it there behind me. It literally has to be now. Because if we keep putting things off, it's a bigger mountain that you have to climb. And I'm confident you probably have noticed as you've got older, it's become harder anyway. So the more you put it off, it becomes even more difficult. Bigger mountain that you have to climb physiologically as we lose muscle mass. Ladies over 50 lose muscle mass every single year unless we have correct strategies in place to prevent that. And then psychologically, we just feel rubbish about ourselves. We feel like a failure. We feel not good enough. I don't want that for you. So first of all, procrastination, step 1, chunk it down. Just don't try and climb Everest in a day. All I'm asking is for 1 step. So rather than you aiming to lose all the weight now in the next month, just do 1 positive thing. Join that group. Click on the link in the description, join the group. That's 1 positive thing. Whenever we set a goal, we should do 1 positive thing, 1 action that moves us towards it. Joining that group, of course, is going to do that. That's chunking it down. We can also chunk it down in terms of workouts as well. Commit to the warm-up. Commit to 5 minutes. 5 minutes is better than nothing. Write that down. 5 minutes is better than nothing. And of course it is. What that will do is rather than you thinking about a long, grueling workout, just commit to a 5-minute warm-up. Because it's not sustainable to spend 2 hours in a gym 5 days a week. Most people we help literally work out 30 minutes 3 days a week. Because the habit change we can teach you as a multidisciplinary team means that you're not burning the candle at both ends. You're not depriving your work or your family to lose weight. Instead, they work together. I want your weight loss and us 10xing your energy to allow you to be 10 times more productive, be 10 times more confident and achieve more. It's not one or the other. I want you to have it all. I want your life to horizontally improve in every single area and even your finances as well. If we increase your energy, we've helped lots of people who are retired create passive income streams. I don't want you to have the regret that you did nothing to change this. I don't want you to go back to pills and potions. I want you to have all the help that you need, which is difficult for lots of people because we're hardwired to figure it out on our own. And we think asking for help is a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. I have 3 coaches myself. I'm always going to have coaches. Humility and being humble enough to be a student is very powerful. And I really believe that, because as soon as we believe we know everything, we know nothing. And if we keep just dabbling, dipping our toe in the water from one YouTube video to the next, but don't actually commit to doing something meaningful and something that is holistic, then we just lose more time. And all that leads to is regret. So I hope this has been helpful. Hit the subscribe button if it has. That means the world to me. Definitely join the group. Make your life considerably easier by getting support from all of these people that I've mentioned. Have a wonderful day. I hope that's been helpful, and it's been lovely speaking to you. My name's Alex, a sport dietitian, and I wish you all the success in the world. Bye-bye for now.